Yeah. So, hey everybody, what's up? It is the state of the market for our last state of the market for 2021. Um, Al,
Crazy.
what's
Wait, is
up?
it? Wouldn't you say it's a crazy year?
Yeah, it
Um,
was a crazy year,
I
especially
mean,
for vintage
it's
because
been it's been a crazy 2 years, but now I look back and I look at the calendar. Like literally, I looked at it today and I'm like, oh my lord, there's only 11 days left in this year,
yeah, this went
and
by fast.
and what a ride this has been this year. I mean, I think we were coming off the December deflated.
Yep.
Remember
Yeah, because
December?
Mbappe's were super cheap. I remember we were talking about that. The fact that we were even talking about Mbappe at that time, it
Yeah,
was just noticeable how um,
I think the PSA 9 Pele Alpha a year ago, had traded and it was like 320 grand or something. And we weren't sure if that was a big number or a small number. And then I just went and checked, the rally trading, and it's basically 900.
mhm.
And of course, we had that huge run up after, like, everything in sports cards did,
Yeah.
and February and March, and hung on a little bit in April, and different things at different times. Then we had a dive, and then I'd say a very strong stabilization, and then even a ramp in many players that hadn't run
Yeah.
in the vintage section. So I was just thinking about this whole year and thinking that it's just been a crazy ride, like literally like a roller coaster.
It has been, and it's just so different than what we're used to in vintage. Just because typically we're like, you kind of have that very slow increase, and it's just consistent, and we kind of know what we're going to expect. We know there's going to be some drops because of just the lack of volume and the lack of demand. And now it's just like, I mean, the demand is where we envisioned it, a decade ago, like where the supply is just not able to keep up with it. And I'm not necessarily sure, aside from market, like the macro affecting soccer, I don't really see there being any way to go besides up, with the exception of macro hits. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
mean,
I
it's
think,
just
yeah,
at
you're
that
right.
point now where it's just like we're just going to be getting more and more people into soccer collecting.
Yeah, yeah, and I would even
Vintage. This
say,
is all vintage
yeah,
conversation.
yeah, it's totally vintage right
Yeah.
here, just because of supply, right? I mean, I think they're um there's not, like, I think, I got a couple of messages like, wow, you had a lot of Koenigs in your recent submission, that I did with PSA, and that's true, but that
Yeah.
was like 8 years of collecting Koenigs,
Yeah. Right.
right? And it had, like,
We didn't get those graded before.
yeah, and I didn't get them. Yeah, I didn't get them graded, and that was like 8 years of collecting Koenigs, and the most that I had of one player was like four, right?
Yeah.
And most of them were twos, like two, right? And if I was only collecting Koenigs, I could have gotten more. And Koenigs are not the rarest thing out there,
Right.
but it just reminded me, people are like, wow, that was a lot, and I'm like, it was, but in the context of 8 years,
Yeah.
it,
It's not.
it's not, right? And then in the context of also how many people now are looking for these things versus 12 or 18 months ago.
Yep.
I mean, totally different dynamics,
Yeah.
right?
No
I
doubt.
mean, and I think that's my big. I know we're going to go through PWCC and Golden, but when I just kind of step back, which is what I like to do at this time of year anyway, and say, I'm just thinking, wow, we have so many more people
Oh my God.
interested in all of these, players, and it still continues to be a really exciting time. Sure, there's pockets of softness, like the Messi market. I still don't get completely, but that's not really our market, right? In terms of vintage either.
Right.
There's not a ton of the only softness I'm truly seeing in the vintage is where things get a little bit ahead of themselves, and or
yeah, it's like a little bit of a just a correction almost.
Yeah, it's more like a correction of the overshooting,
Yep.
Or it's something where we've been saying for years, well, not for years, but for the last 18 months about the Gazzetta, for instance, right?
Yeah.
And about how we've just continued to harp on, do you really want to collect? Not that we're trying to create a narrative. I have at least one or two of those, but I don't pick additional ones up because it just doesn't feel right. Cutting it out of an album cover is something that it wasn't meant to be collected that way. And that, to me, it matters. And I share my thoughts. I know you share your thoughts, and other people do. And for some people, it's still the ultimate awesome collectible.
Sure.
But I think it starts to get a little bit of tarnish on it. And then those things drop. But across the rest of the base, I'd say it's just strength.
Yeah, and we had there's a conversation going on in the Discord, and this is kind of how I see it, at least, was like we only had so many people collecting, the last 10 years prior to 2020. And what that group of collectors decided was the best card. That's what, like, I would say that collecting group is 3% of the population now. So I think the conversation was about the Queagles, and it's like, is the market going to correct back to where the Queagle was? Well, maybe not, because maybe now when we have a bigger group, a bigger population deciding what the major players are, and maybe the Queagle never snaps back because the 100% doesn't agree with what the original 3% believed. And so, there's some correction going in that regard, where it's just where the market, is making their decisions now. And I think where we're headed now is much more, obviously going to stay more stable long term than where we were 3 years ago.
Well, and I think the other interesting thing, and I'm sure that not everybody's interested in hear us blabble about the past, but
I mean,
I'm not. But I do think it's actually.
I'm teasing.
I think it's actually interesting. So if you don't want to listen, then turn us off, right? That's not. I mean, gosh, does that seems a little coarse, right? But I mean, look, don't listen to us. I mean, there's lots of other things you should be doing with 11 days left in the year.
People are okay hearing us talk.
Yeah, and 6 or whatever, 5 days before Christmas. So
bah humbug.
Bah humbug. Fucking Scrooge. Call me Scrooge Jurgela. Okay, so no, but what I was saying is, when we had that smaller group of collectors, and we were going after, Leonidas, Tingles, and there was like two of us that were really willing to bet the house on it, and then one of us got it, and then the next sale that came up, you could potentially see that going for half as much as the last sale is, because the other guy wasn't in the market anymore because he got his. And remember, we're mostly collectors right at that point.
Yeah.
And then so you got that volatility. What I'm starting to feel is that there's just so many people behind, that want certain, things, that it's, we're not going to have as many. There still can be those, especially in the second tier, third tier, fourth tier players, right, that aren't broadly collected. But among the top tier collectible players, I don't think we're going to see these massive variations to the extent that we have had them.
No doubt. I mean, I think you still have it at the really elite cards just because there's less players up there. But I think, like, the maybe, let's say the $20,000 cards and less, I don't think you're going to see that anymore. Or whatever number you want to pick, but point being the same, but yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, it's been exciting. It's been just a crazy year, and like the volatility that, like, I mean, the volatility in 2020 was just all up. Like, it wasn't like but like the actual volatility of 2021 is like totally something we've never experienced before. So it's been interesting. I think it's like you said, it's definitely stabilized. And some of these, like a lot of times I'm always worried about auctions this time of year. And it's hit or miss, but there was some pretty amazing prices on some some items. And it goes to show that the depth is there, the breadth is there. So before we get going into the actual auction houses, we have an international crowd today. We have Ukraine, Bavaria, Australia, the Netherlands, the UK, and Chicago. So so we have a lot of areas covered. Everybody, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you doing it. There was a request in the Discord for us to try to do some more internationally friendly hours, and we just so happened that we got to do that because of our schedules today. So we'll try to consider you guys a little more. We just thought the U.S. was the center of the world, so that's how we are.
Freaking Americans, right, guys?
Daft Yanks.
Yeah, Daft Yanks.
So yeah, like what do you think? You want to start with Golden or PWCC?
Yeah, either way, whatever you have easier on your screen, just tell me what it is, and I'll.
All right, we're gonna go. Let's go with Golden first, because there wasn't nearly as much vintage in there, but of course, it's gonna take a few minutes for me to figure out how to share my screen again. All right, Golden. Here we are.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. That. Look at. I know we're vintage, but you got to just pause for a second and say, nearly $100,000 for a Messi gold kaboom. I mean, that's crazy, right? So I guess it ended up at 84. Am I seeing that right?
Yeah, 84 with buyer's premium. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, again,
it's a sweet looking card, but I mean, my God, like just thinking about what I could buy with it.
Do you look at, and this is an area that I just am not very well versed in, but is like other sports, that card, is that like a common, is this like a normal thing for like a LeBron? Do you have any idea?
I would think so. I mean, we've seen some LeBron stuff go for crazy prices. I mean, I haven't really paid attention, honestly, just because I don't care that much about other sports, but just from what I recall, but most of the time that I was paying attention was last January and February, when those prices were just going, ballistic. So
right.
I can't really speak to if that's the case now. We probably need one of these basketball guys to
like Steve Lom or something.
Yeah, we need Steve to pop in here. Maybe I'll have him as one of my guests soon, and we can kind of talk about that. So
all right, yeah. So anyway, but yeah, let's just run down. I mean, if you look at that 3,000 for a good, for a 2, that card's been getting a lot of run. Lately, it really has. So, I mean, I think solid, not unexpected there.
Yeah,
that 2006, the trio, it had a big run up. It had a lot of people pushing it, and I thought it had kind of crashed a bit, but that was an amazing result, as is the
yeah, 2,500 for that. I thought so too. I thought like it just seemed like there was some influencers that were pushing that on like Instagram and stuff. Like I saw it everywhere on Instagram, and then all of a sudden the prices started, pushing up higher and higher, and then it kind of petered out a little bit. But probably those PSA 10s are at a big auction house. They're probably you're going to get people who maybe don't pay attention to that bidding on them.
Yeah. No, I think so. That was a extraordinary result, and I also felt this is one of the more common Merediths. I thought that was a huge result there too.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how I felt. Like I guess it's probably a hope more than expectation, but I was hoping that would sell for more. I mean, I feel like you could get that on eBay.
In a 3, really? You thought that would see?
I think so. I think that Merediths are pushing up as it is. I mean, maybe not quite that, but I mean, the seller's getting 600. I think you can get 600 on or close to it on eBay.
Yeah, that's actually true. I think Yeah, 600. Yeah, I'm looking at the buyer. I mean, total cost to the buyer, but you're right. If you're going to sell that for 600 and a PSA 3, yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, and you're waiting like a few months to get your money. You know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of things that aren't going for you for um selling it at Golden in that regard. Like I mean, there's obviously benefits to selling certain items at Golden, but maybe this stuff that's in the $1,000 range, it's just not worth it yet.
and I
But
think the market has basically said with the record that it prefers, and at least, and I also do, having Pele with Garincha, and with a little bit of the red border. Most of them that are cut this way, I just don't see, doing great. And $600 for a Pele rookie is just low. No matter what the condition is. So
yeah, that seems really low. Actually, I hadn't even really paid attention to that. But I mean, so that's something I would actually even buy. At that price, honestly.
yeah,
Okay, this was a big talking point. Was this
yeah. The next two I think are pretty big.
Yeah,
Talking.
yeah. So we have the Rivera for 900. That's it's a one. I had a good back for being a one.
And it's a
But
great looking card, right?
yeah, it's kind of got that the 58 A and BC feel to it a little bit with those like solid backgrounds, and it's like a true collector's card, and um Rivera's had a huge run up. Like, I mean, he was like, you could get his stuff for $5, $10, like, like not that long ago.
Yeah.
And now, like, there's just been, I mean, you see it on the Discord, so many people posting. So it's funny how you can kind of see like just the trends within the Discord and then also in the market. You know, and then definitely, for a 68 Palarex, 600. Well, it's a near mint 7, so that's a good grade.
Very good grade and super underrated, player. Doesn't he have he has what, a 67 or I'll look. I'm
Yeah.
not totally sure, but this obviously is from an
Yep.
iconic player, but not necessarily that well followed, I didn't think, but obviously followed by at least a couple important collectors to get that
Yeah,
report.
I know of a bidder, and there had to be at least two other bidders. You know what I mean? Just pushing that up because one bidder stopped, and there was still some bids going on after that. So, um, yeah, it's that's crazy to me. Like that, like if that card's starting to get that high, then I mean, it's healthy now. Like this market is healthy for soccer, and it's super exciting. Kellen says he got a PSA 2 for $100 a few months ago. Are you
Yeah,
talking about this or Kellen? Are you talking about what we're talking about on screen? But we're gonna keep moving.
yeah. Otherwise, we'll be here all night. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we got to get through this
there's
stuff.
also a 68 Panini as well, and then I have a very small Yugoslavian issue that is from '66, but
Okay.
not a common one. But anyway, and then that you got the Cruyff.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a big price, I think.
yeah, for I mean, it is a good grade, but
Yeah,
big price for now you're talking, you know.
his third or fourth year sticker.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Um, 77
Yeah.
Argentina unopened
So
pack. I think whoever bought that completely overpaid
yeah,
personally.
and that was me totally overpaying. Um, I've got a thing for those 77 football Maradona discs, and that one's in it, and it's graded, so I don't have to deal with the headache.
Yeah,
So,
man. No, I think that's a cool buy.
and there's just not that much unopened stuff out there in the soccer thing,
Yep.
especially of the elite packs. What do you
Yep.
think of the PSA 3, which was a beautiful 3, the crack Maradona?
Well, I think that, as we've talked about over the last year, is though anything over a 2 is going to start pulling away and bringing premium. And I think that's what we saw. Like I mean, 4,500 is a good price, but I don't think it's out of touch or anything like that. I could see it going. I think the difference between a 3 and a 5 is going to be way closer than the difference between a 2 and a 3. At some point, just because of the quality difference between a 2 and a 3. So I think buying a 3 now is actually a great idea, and I think that the buyer is going to be pretty happy with that long term.
Yeah, and this one had great eye appeal, really tight. And I agree with you. I think a 5. What did the last 5 sell for?
I have no idea, honestly.
But it was a massive number.
Yeah, it was much
Um,
larger. I mean, it was like, multiple X, so.
and the 6 was like more than 100,000. So I think that this a clean 3 that was good. And these ones, even though they were kind of not great,
I feel like
they
these are deals.
they were super deals. I
Yeah,
mean, I especially the bottom one that went for 783. It has some ink on the back but
but it
it's a
looks
blank
good.
back. And I think these were all pretty solid deals.
Yeah, if I were to bid on one of these ones, I would have bid on the
Bottom
one with the
line.
MK.
Yep.
Yeah, I
And
just
me too.
and then we got a 78
I got that
crack.
one too.
Oh, geez, Al. Jeez.
Yeah.
Save some water for the fishes.
I just got 2 packs, dude. That's all I want in the whole thing. Quit. So
Well, congratulations. Those are pretty cool items.
yeah, I'm gonna just put them up and display them. I think they're super fun. But this, I mean, when have you seen a 7 Zico?
I mean, it's tough to get ping pongs on that grade.
Yeah, it's insane. And the Socrates was super tight as well. It's just a little bit off center, and I'd rather it have been like in a 6 instead of a 9 OC
Yeah.
holder or whatever. Because I think actually that 9 OC really hurt the end price. But those were beautiful cards.
Yep. Those are about as good as it gets I mean, unless somebody has unopened boxes somewhere, like that'd be the only way you could even come close to that. But you see how poor the cutting was, like just how they cut the cards and everything. Like
Yeah,
that's typical.
no doubt. Now this is amazing. 2,600 for a 6.
Yeah. That's I mean, but the 80s you just don't see them much, and
Yep.
so people are going to pay up when it finally comes, because there's going to be multiple people looking to pick it up, and you get into that auction, you start getting competitive, and here we are. And that's exactly what happened. Second year.
Yeah, and it's second year too.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people put this in the rookie material, which I would too.
Yeah, I kind of lump it in there personally.
I lump it in there, but still it's and the only thing on these are they're normally super off center. The top football ones are usually like really shifted. So this has great eye appeal. It's just in a way I'm like, wow, that's some big price. But then again, when you start to look at everything in the context, you're like, there's a lot of big prices now relative to to where we were. I was really happy to see this one right here. Let's see. Hang on. What do you got on your screen? Yeah. Okay, that's perfect. So $400 for an 8. Getting some respect, which is great. Like to see that.
Brad says he got the exact same card on PWCC 3 days earlier for $165.
Which one?
The Haji.
Oh, really? Wow. See,
Yeah.
that's a great. So, well, first of all, great for Brad to pick it up. But second of all, I mean, he's getting some, respect in the market, which is great.
Yep. I agree. So I don't know if there was anything else that really caught my eye. Derek Jeter in soccer was interesting.
Yeah, he was. I never knew that.
No, probably like AYSO back in the day.
Yeah, I think the rest of the stuff was more modern-ish.
Sorry for you modern fans. We're just gonna bounce from.
Yeah,
this.
there was some Ronaldinho rookies, which are obviously interesting because they're just iconic.
Oh yeah, okay. Here's a 2 for 25, and then a 4 for 4,200. I mean, to me, I feel like the 4,200 is the value between the two of those.
Yeah, me too. So
Yeah.
I contemplated putting in a bid on that one, but whoever got it, I think is going to end up being pretty happy in the long run.
Yeah. So yeah, it was overall pretty decent. I mean, there were some softer prices on some things, but I think like as a whole, I mean, I'm happy with what I see.
Yeah, I saw. I mean, a couple other small comments, not to go much beyond the vintage, but the Iniesta PSA 9 sold for like 1,400.
Yeah.
And then the Rooney BGS 9.5 sticker sold for like 2,200, which is
Oh wow.
just a shocking number for that card, at least historically. I know that a lot of people have been getting excited with Rooney lately, and that had maybe something to do with it, but I was a little shocked that it went that high.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So we have a few questions in the stream right now. So let's try to knock these out real quick, guys. We're not going to get super in depth on these just because we're on a time crunch here. But Al Basics asking us to cover the Ronaldo sticker when we talk about PWCC. So we will definitely do that, Al.
Mm-hmm.
Brad asks, heading into January, February, do you anticipate a spike that happened similar to last year to happen again? It seemed like the Discord exploded at the end of January, early February. I don't expect it to be like that. There's a lot of things that kind of worked in the favor. I mean, people were getting their money from the government, in the States. I think there was but you never know. People are trapped in, the people in the winter states and winter countries, maybe they're focusing on their collections more during the cold weather. But I don't expect anything like last year to happen this year.
And I think it was all driven in part by the huge Jordan result, and then the subsequent ratcheting up of the rest of the market. And I just feel like there's so many more negative things happening in the broad asset based markets right now that I would not expect that, and in fact I'd only expect macro negative things over the next couple months. So so I'm definitely not walking into now thinking, oh, buy now because January and February are going to be huge. Not at all.
Nope. I am in the same boat. Kellen says, Al says he's going to stop buying and drops 4K on random packs. Ha 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 ha. So, all right. So let's get to PWCC. Anything while I'm tinkering with this and trying to get it on screen, anything specific? Why don't we actually talk about the Ronaldo now, the Ronaldo sticker? It's sold for I think like 132,000 or something like that. Is that correct?
The PSA 10.
Yeah, the sticker.
I don't know if I saw 130.
Maybe I'm like on crack. Who knows?
No, I thought it was like the last time I looked, which it hadn't closed, was more like 106 or something. But let's just see. I mean, in general, that sticker obviously has been just crushed in the market in BGS holders. Obviously, and that was in the Premier. That one.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I'll pull it up.
So.
But why don't let's just get rolling on this since I have the other stuff up.
Okay.
First thing that is the not 1913 F&J Smith Billy Meredith. There was I've seen 1917 and 1923 as the two dates for this set.
I think I have 17.
Yeah, so I think there's a few of the cards that mention something like in 1922, and I think that's what's led people to think. But I think this is 1917, not 1923, personally. And there is mention of 1916 on the back of the card. But that's a pretty hefty price for, a later career Billy Meredith. And, that's pretty sweet. That's good for pre-war collectors. And the grade's decent, but it's not out of the, it's not outside of that. the one standard deviation or whatever, So, I don't know. I was pretty happy with that price. How about you?
Yeah, you know what? Is there a way, like on my screen, I have like them in like 3 across, like
Oh,
the
I can
small.
probably do that.
Yeah, I just think it'll be easier for people to see those a little bit better, maybe. Not my technical. Oh, there
There we
you go.
go.
There you go.
Hey, good
Yeah. So
call.
yeah, no, I thought that was really high result. Especially now that we just talked about the wills, which I thought was high. This is double the wills and way later. So the wills is looking cheap relative to this one. I just thought this was a big result, as I felt like a number of things for in this PWCC were a big result that we'll get to.
All right, so I felt like this could have gone for more. The Caramelos Argentinos.
Totally. I mean, it you don't see many Bernabé Ferrara cards. It's already graded. These were really tough, really fun backs. Um, yeah, I was. It's one of these things that when you're bidding on 100 items, they close. You get to that 1 minute thing, you don't know what you're missing, and it closes. But I hope the person who got this realizes just how special that sticker is.
Yeah, that was you and I were talking about that before, or during the auction, and I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I'm thinking about bidding on it, but I just didn't know um, where it was going to end up, and then I just completely whiffed on it mentally, and then see the price, and it's like, geez, that was a pretty good ad.
That's a
So,
deal.
um, yeah, I mean, you get an auction with a bunch of these, and every auction has a bunch of these. Like, I guess these prices are just gonna kind of be stagnant, and
I mean, and I still look at that and I'm like, damn, sixes for $320. I mean, why
yeah,
not? Right?
that seems like pretty low.
Especially if you don't have it. And even the three for $100, I mean,
Yeah, that's like you get a rookie already graded, and
yeah, already graded. I
odds
mean,
are if you just buy a random on eBay, it's gonna be a 3-ish. So yeah, I mean, seems like a deal.
yeah.
Um, all right, let's see what else. Anything that catches our eye. The Busby Val footer, 5 for 250. You don't see many Val footers really anymore being offered. Those are sweet cards in my opinion.
Yeah,
Kind
very
of, they
much.
got that gloss to them, and
A five is good and the shape of it. Yeah, I think
yeah. And you don't
that
see
was
many
good.
Busbys being offered really
No,
either.
no.
Uh,
The Finney rookie, I was a little surprised that that went for 800. I was bidding on that, at much less than this price.
mhm.
But you don't see that many, and it's easy to get confused with the Barretts because they all look the same, for like 4 or 5
Yeah, for what
years.
issue it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to be really careful on those. There's you can tell the difference, but I'm trusting that PSA got this one right. But it's pretty big price and nice. It's another one of these guys where you think that he wouldn't necessarily come up in the top 5, British players of all time, but
Yeah.
suddenly you're getting $800. It's nice to see.
Yeah, it is. And so again, and we're just gonna keep talking about it. Just the breadth of the collecting is starting to really get pushed. Now we get into the 53s. I feel like the 53s are starting to get a little bit of a bump recently. In particular, the Di Stefanos. But I mean, I think that the Luis Suarez was selling for kind of around there before, but I feel like the Di Stefanos have kind of jumped, which I think they rightly should.
Yeah,
Um,
I think there should be. Yeah. Suarez won the Ballon d'Or, right? But he's nowhere close to how
yeah, I
important
mean they're not even
Stefano is, right?
right. So we have that the I don't even know, is it FHER Escenas Deportivas $900. I mean, we were seeing those selling for a few $100s, not that long ago. And
Yeah. Cool sticker too.
yeah, it's just a sweet background. An 8 Turmo SGC for 1,800.
I think that's a good value.
Yeah.
I was again not trying to be disciplined and not spend more money. It's hard to justify paying that to get another copy, but I definitely thought there's going to be some good value in that at $800 or $1,800.
Yep, I agree. So I was pretty impressed with this 4.5 Puskas selling for 1,400.
Yep,
That's starting to run too and making me happy.
And I just thought to myself, I'm like, wow,
told you.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, we like it was like $50 or whatever. We're saying, hey, buy that. Here's when you look at this, you say, hey, the PSA 2 sold for $550. I know it's 2 grades higher, but where's that SGC discount? And the reality,
Right.
there is none in that in this difference here.
I mean, and if you look at it, the corners are just so much better, and I mean, but they almost look narrower, don't they? Like, doesn't the border look narrower?
Actually, you're right. I hadn't really noticed that, but yeah, it does look narrower. Hopefully that's a natural narrow.
Yeah, just yes. Oops. Duncan Edwards, 500 for a 4.5. I mean, I think it's kind of hard to get those in really great shape because of the cuts and everything. So, I don't hate that price.
I don't either. And again, we're talking about players that aren't, broadly from a global perspective,
right?
Really focused on, and to see like $500 is a lot of money.
Yep. A lot of 54 World Cup, Puskas,
and
around $100. So
$100, but they used to be $15. Last year, $20.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So we have the Garincha, the Vecchi.
Yeah, how did you feel about the 3,700? I was talking myself out of both sides on this one.
I'm okay with it. Like, I mean, it's a 1.5, but I mean, it looks like it's a good looking 1.5.
Yeah.
I can't remember the back. The back I didn't think was bad, right? Like,
yeah, it was actually a way above average back for a 1.5.
Yeah, like you got all the writing and everything. So I didn't mind that at all, honestly. Like, I feel like that's probably might actually be lower than what I think it should be, but I don't think I think that's probably fine.
Yeah, that's where I ended up. At first, I was like, "Oh, that's a big price," and I'm like, "No, it's not." And I just couldn't get my head settled on where the market, should be on that card. Which is funny when you go to the next Puskas cards. The 7 actually sold for less than the 6.5.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, not by a lot, but still, I thought that was interesting. And these Kane products cards usually come in really good condition.
Yeah.
So but even still, I still like that card. It's color. It's I like this card, and I don't think it's getting nearly the respect that it deserves, so to speak.
Yeah, I think those there's a little discomfort with UK issues right now. You know what I mean? Like, just people aren't sure how much is out there, and I feel like we have a grasp on certain countries, and we have a feel pretty good that it's at least somewhat rare, and I don't know if we have a real good grasp on the UK issues, and so I think that's gonna keep these prices low until they dry up.
Yep. Yep.
So
I think that, and that's fair. But if you're a budget collector and
yep.
you want to get a Puskas, I still think that's I'd almost
Agreed.
rather have that a nice looking Kane products to a 54 where he's sharing the car with somebody else, because this is him. It's color.
Yep.
So anyway,
Yeah, it's just him, and
it's just him. So
it's not him holding a flag or
a trophy or
pennant given to him. Yeah,
shaking hands or something. Yep.
All right, so here's the Gazettas. a 1 and a 2, 1500, 2600.
Still high. I mean, that 4 with like the lines. I don't know if you saw that cut of just the Pele. I think it's below.
Oh yeah.
It's got these lines. Like, if just click on it just to look at it. This.
Oh, so yeah, like they
You know,
did a
they made
border.
sure they cut, and if they made a mistake, they could have another bite at the apple and cut it.
Well, that's smart.
And so they cut it like that, and they got a 4. And I hate the way that looks with all the lines, but they got a 4, and it paid off for them because it was nearly, what, 5,500 or something.
Yep, 5750.
And that just, I don't love that card.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've definitely mentioned that. Let's see. Just tell me if there's anything. The matchbook 1500 does seem to be somewhat available.
Yeah, I think if you want one, you'll get some for less than that. I don't know how much it costs to grade those. Those are like the tall boys, right? So
Yeah, it's got to be more, I would imagine.
yeah.
PSA 9 Cadet Suites
Oh,
Charlton.
before you do that, these Yashin ones are actually quite rare.
Yeah, these are the Fock rings.
Yeah, and so to have an unstuck one for less than $300, in retrospect, when you go back to the things you would have liked to pay a little bit more attention to
Yep.
in the auction, I would have liked to get that 3.
Oh, for sure.
At $300, I think that's a super super value on that card.
Yep, I agree with you.
And
100%.
did you see if this was this a true 58?
I did just look it up. It is a true 58. I'm sorry, I was just looking at the back of that Fock ring to see if it was out of, or if it had been taken out of an album. It doesn't look like it. It is a true 58. And it sold for $400. I think that's a monstrous overcorrection.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, I think I honestly am liking the lack of love right now for those cards.
Sure.
And I think that if you're, no investment advice, but if you're looking for some place to put some money down and bet on Charlton, which I think is a smart thing, especially as the A and BCs have run. Picking up a couple of these really nice high graded ones and just putting them away will likely pay off.
I agree. I think, like, I was looking at the pop reports for those recently, and I think there was like 50 graded, and or maybe it was a little bit less than that, but 12 of them are 9s, and then a bunch are 8s. And I just feel like if you're in the top 20% or 25% of the grading, that's a good place to be. And at this price, I think, God, if I would have even known or been looking at those, because I absolutely skipped by them constantly, I definitely would have had a higher bid than that. So
yeah.
All right. A for 3,400, or no, that's a 1. I'm sorry. Aquarela 1 for 3,400. So still,
holding strong, right? Despite the influx of, I haven't checked the pop reports recently.
I haven't either.
Certainly holding strong. And this I thought was very low. The DD. Well, first of all, I'm still shocked at these Brazilian teams.
They've had another run up. They were like back down to where I was offering 2 of them for $250 in the Discord, and nobody took them. And then all of a sudden they started selling. Like, one sold for $600, and then like now, like, it's back up by that price.
And yeah, so that seems like a big price for those. But what seems like a small price is the DD and Garrincha Vav with that centering.
Yep.
Super hard to get these well centered.
See all the border.
So I know there's a little bit of glue on the back, but it doesn't show that badly. And I just thought that's a great, highly underrated card.
So I think we saw a 7 for 100, and then that was
That
SGC
was the
7,
SGC. Yep.
and then this is a PSA 8 for 190. So I guess that makes sense. We have a couple of Queagle PSA 1s for $5 to $6 grand.
Oh, so that's down.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that this one is it's pretty beat. Like eye appeal is not great,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the other one was just I think the back was jacked.
Crash.
There's paper loss in the middle here,
Yeah.
and then you can see like up in here in the corner.
Yeah. So
But
probably
six
okay. I mean,
grandish.
yeah. Not all ones are the same. Not all twos are the same. So
Yeah. I hate that it goes back to the top every time
I know.
I go back to the same page. First world problems.
Exactly. But when you get back to the Charltons here that are 59s, I believe.
Yep, these are.
Yeah. So, but even still, I just look at that and I'm like, okay, you can get some 8s second year cards
Yeah.
for $30-$40.
$35. Yeah, that's just crazy.
I just like if I would have again, you can't follow. That's the problem with PWCC. You just can't follow, and you can't bid on everything. You can't follow everything. But and I know there's a lot of them, pages of them. But at those prices, I mean, I just like sweep them up and put them away.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a shot when I get my PSA order back.
There you go. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, the Copa, the 60 King chewing gum.
I love that. I think we were all talking about how the image is just so cool with the farm in the background. It's just awesome. It's oversized, which keeps it down, but it's hard to get. It's hard to get good Copa stuff. I'll say, and that image is just awesome. This is on my want list. I didn't bid on it here, but it's definitely a cool item for display purposes.
Matt says that's exactly what he's going to do with it. It's going to be a piece of art that he can look at and enjoy. So there you have it. Not bad for that price then.
Yeah, I mean, look at that ball and then the farm in the background. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Let's see.
That one, what did the Pele go for there? With the flag?
850. Are you talking about the
and 950? Yeah. So, and I think they were pretty thrashed on the back too, right?
Yeah, they had to be. So 925 and 850.
I think the Eusebio here went cheap too as a 3.
Oh, the 62. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's not the best one, but certainly it's an early Eusebio. It's funny. I was thinking the other day, he really hasn't run, and I'm thinking because there's just not that much stuff of him.
Yeah, there's just not. I mean, really, the Panini is the one that we got to keep our eye on just to see if there's a run or not, because that's the only early issue that there's enough to kind of get a good read.
Yeah.
And that's desirable, if it because the one that we just looked at, that's not highly desirable, know. So San Giorgio's, we've had a conversation about that. It seems like there's a lot more on the market recently, but there was apparently a find with a bunch of packs. So
the
Imperial
has always been a highly valued Pele, actually in any player who's in that set.
Yeah.
So to see 1400 feels right to me. To you too?
Yeah, I think so. I think that that's such a rare issue, really. Like it's tough to find those. I mean, we see them enough, but like it's not something that you can just go, oh, I'm going to go out and buy one, like.
Yeah. So these Sandria, these were. I mean, the Grinch is really well centered. The Pele went for 2300. It's one of my favorite cards from the 60 stickers.
Yeah.
with the net and just the artwork on these is amazing. So I think those were probably about right in those grades.
Okay.
And then the Florian Albert, that's his rookie. So I think that's probably a decent price. I know not a lot of people follow him now, but he's a player that some people may want to look into. And then you followed it with the Fat Puskas.
Yeah, man, he looks like chunkers, doesn't
Yeah,
he? That's awesome.
yeah. So whenever I want to feel good about myself, I pull out that card and I'm like, look at he's one of the 10 best ever.
Yeah, he looks like he's advertising like an Italian restaurant.
So that's a fun one.
Yeah. Let's see.
Bobby Moore
Third
getting
year
some love.
Bobby Moore,
Yeah,
right?
I like that. I mean, I actually think at an 8, I didn't check the pop reports, but it feels to me that this is a very high grade of a very attractive, second year issue. So, I mean, yeah, he's all time great. Will get the love, and so I just think that's probably going to end up being a good price.
Yeah, it says just one graded higher.
This Pele I wanted, I just couldn't go this high on this card, but it's got a beautiful back. So whoever got it, it's amazing. Very tough issue anyway. So I'm thinking that there's some value here, but it's a little risky because it doesn't trade so much, and that's why I bowed out. But congratulations to the winner on that one.
Steve says he got the Pele for $850. The 1962 Pele.
Which one? The one with the flag?
I'm not backing up, but
Oh yeah, the one with the flags. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. And LOL, Fat Puskas. You don't get that commentary just anywhere. Yeah, this is actually though a 65. That's one of my favorite 60s Pele's.
Yeah, and I don't have it, and I really wanted it, but it was one of my priorities. But as soon as it went that high, I decided to stick with the Beckenbauer right next.
Yeah,
to it.
that's a good consolation prize, I guess. So
Yeah.
a 4 Bergman Beckenbauer rookie. So clean back and 2,800. I think that's actually a deal.
It's the only card I got in the auction, which was a bit of a bummer, but yeah, I think that it was a deal. For those of you who don't know, I put out a Beckenbauer video. I'm going to do a little self promotion here this week. Not that I get anything from people watching the video.
Yeah, please, so I can get my $0 out of
Yeah, so I can get my
yeah.
zero check from YouTube.
Just give him a comment so he at least knows you watched
so at
it.
least I feel like it's worth getting yelled at from my wife. Why are you doing that again? Making a video for who? Nobody watches your crap.
Oh man, she's harsh.
She's not wrong though.
All right.
But all these Faber ones, these are starting to get some love. At least the Beckenbauer ones. The Mueller ones were pretty cheap. I know that not a lot of people love these because they're black and light. They're in action. There's lots of check.
Kind of look like a newspaper almost.
Yeah, but they're kind of cool when you hold them in hand.
Oh, I think they're cool for sure.
So and I think you get Mueller rookies for less than $100, and they're not that common. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's one of the rarer issues, right?
Yep.
All right, we have some TTTs. We have the Beckenbauer 2 go for $1,150. We have the Mueller 2.5 go for $360.
Yeah, so those are the Beckenbauer 2, which by the way, I love that image, and I forgot about putting this one in. It had a pretty good back, as far as 2s go.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like those in action ones are more common, even though we haven't seen many graded, because not a lot of people used to grade these. I have a number of them at PSA getting graded right now. So I was pleasantly surprised to see that cross $1,000 for a 2. Yeah, so go back up to those 66s. Again,
Okay.
these things are relatively available in high grade, and you can see that here.
Yep. The
You can
prices are reflecting that now.
exactly. So there was a time when they kind of spiked, saying, "Wow, you can get a 50, 60 year second year card, in a high grade." But if you'd been listening to us, talk at the beginning, you can get those in pretty high grade, and it's just not. It's not the anomaly that the 65, 66s are, which were typically pasted into the album with rubber glue that is really hard to get off.
Yeah. Steve says he was the underbidder on your Beckenbauer. Stupid 1 minute timer timed me out, or else it would have hit 3K. You're welcome.
Well, he said, I like the tone, how you read that with the tone. You're welcome.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, Steve,
Yeah.
it was the only card I won in the whole auction. You got to
Yeah, you
win
had like
30 loss.
9,000 of them, Steve. So,
Yeah, I know. He always complains that he's catching up. That's why he has to
yeah, so
win
he's got to
30
buy
loss
half the
every.
auction.
Yeah, 30 loss every auction.
Man, eye doctor must be paying off.
One more Lasix or whatever they
Yeah.
do. I got to pay for that Pele.
Yeah,
Come
look at
on
this.
here.
Now we're the peanut gallery. The Bruguera, that's a cool looking card.
Yeah, I like it. And
Yeah.
that's kind of where I think a number of them have been trading.
Yeah. This Uruguayan issue, right? Pele, is that
Yeah,
correct?
that went for more than I expected it. It's not that that's super common, but it's also out of the things that come out of Uruguay from the 60s. You'll find this sticker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I saw that, like before we could identify everything, I would have swore that was like a 73 just because of like the way the design was and everything. Like I
Yeah.
didn't think that was going to be in the 60s. Wow, was I off? Because we didn't have any information on that back. I saw that for sale a few times, and I'm like, I don't know, what year I'm buying if I buy this thing, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I steered clear, and I'm not happy about that. Another Vita Nova Truco, PSA 4 for 3,100. Thoughts on that?
Oh, we've talked about this one a lot. I mean, you like the fact that it's an early issue. A PSA 4 is not a bad grade in this. 3,100. I mean, it feels like that's where the market's settling on these.
Yeah,
It's certainly not the preferred rookie. I think that if you had clearly a 4 Palarex and Sicker Verlag are going to blow it out of the water.
yeah,
And even, a Vanderhoot maybe in a 4 has a chance. So it's kind of settling in the, you've got up here the Palarex, and then you've got the Sicker Verlag, and then you've got a Gap, and you've got the Vito Troco and Vanderhoot. So where it all settles down in the long run, I don't know that we know, but I'm slightly disappointed for this. But the
sure.
market decides what it likes, and clearly oversized issues, aren't number one on the priority of the people collecting.
Yeah. All right. Let's try to jam through this. I was pretty surprised at this Palarex Eusebio. It's a 7, which is a good grade. One for 650. Like, I mean, it's cool. It was printed. It's from his home country, and all of that. However, like it seems like that's a pretty sizable price, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think here it's mostly about the grade,
Yeah.
because most of those will be in the 2 to 4, range. If even if the unstuck ones are going to be lucky to get a 3 or a 4, so most of the unstuck ones will be 2s. Yeah, so I mean, it definitely. I was going to guess that it would be like half of that, but given the 7, I think it just ramps up the premium because it will be a condition rarity card. Personally, for Sebio stuff, I'd rather have some of the Portuguese stickers that were focused on the Portuguese league. They just
Yeah.
seem cooler to me.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
again, I think the problem with the Eusebio cards right now is just the dearth of available options.
Yeah.
From the 60s, especially the Portuguese stuff.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we have a PSA 2 Pelerex. Looks pretty nice from where I'm looking for $9,000.
Yeah.
I think that's probably right where it should be.
Yep.
We have the Cruyff team card, the oversized sticker from the Palerex for $250. So that seems like a deal to me for some reason.
I mean, again, I think we're going back to this oversized thing, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's the big thing is just people are frowning upon that a bit. Okay, we got some sticker Verlegs, a 1 for 1725, and then a 4 for 4400. The 4 was looking a little clunky.
And really off center. And
Yeah,
the one was actually really nice.
yeah. Like from the front, the 1 looks like better.
Yeah, no, and even when you look at the back, the if it was removed, which is why it had the 1, but you could read everything, and it just felt clean, and it had the full line back, which I know that probably a lot of people aren't this nuanced in the variations of the sticker, but you've got the split back and the full line back, and to my
Yeah.
eyes, the full back, the full line back is actually the rarer version, which both of these were, by the way.
All right, so we got about 15 minutes to knock out what we got to knock out from here on out. So I'm
All
going to
right.
try to scroll through here. Vanderhoots, 5,500 for a 7.
Yeah.
That's a good price, I think.
Yeah, well, I think that it's down from where it had been, but I think there's a number of these high grade ones have come to market recently.
Yeah, there has been a
And,
lot.
and we were talking about that in the Discord a bit, and it's just a little, it's cause for at least just watching, even though the pop reports haven't exploded. I think there's just been a lot of churn of these higher grade ones. Did anything else, catch your eye in these, early 70s stuff? There wasn't a lot that jumped out at me to say, oh
No,
wow, it just seemed like a lot of lower value stuff trading, some funnier ones. You had Pele with the horse.
PSA 4 Platini, 2,500. That seems. I mean, it's super off center. Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
it seems low to me. If it wasn't for the centering, I think, I would categorically say that's a huge deal, but that centering is just really bothering to my eye.
yeah, yep. I agree with that. Platini 4 second year for $82. I feel like that's a pretty good buy.
Oh, where did these Zicos go?
So the Zico 1 went for 3. The Zico 4 went for
Whoa,
4,100.
that's a big price.
Yeah, comparing the two of them, that's substantial.
It
I mean, I
must
get
mean
it's three
that one was
grades.
never stuck, and that's
Yeah.
crazy high price for me.
And then the Falcao was $64, authentic. We got a BVG3 Maradona disc.
Which would have been like a PSA 1, I think. So it seems okay. A
Yeah,
decent eye appeal, right?
yep, I think so. I think that's a decent price. These there's a lot of, right? Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
yeah,
You don't want to stretch on those.
yeah. Okay,
Where,
so
where,
now we have Monty Gum Hugo for 410. He seemed to be getting more love recently. The Zico 8 went for 360. So I mean, it just kind of shows you a comparison, a comp.
that's a great
Baresi
deal on the
5 for
Baresi.
110 seems really cheap to me.
That's a real good deal on that card.
Yeah. So that was a 5. A 6 goes for 380.
Yeah, four
And
times
then
the price basically.
yeah, and then SGC 8.5 for 1,000.
Yeah, and then
Ping pong's reasonably inexpensive.
and all good, pickups. And this 2 to 4, that's where you're gonna find them, so you can get them in there and feel good about it. Where did the Maradona 7 go? The Calciatore 3,500
3,500. Yep.
feels about right. I would have guessed 35 to 4. Um,
Yep. Bergman, Lothar for 210. That seems pretty low for that, but people haven't gotten to him yet, I don't think. So, well, before we if was there anything as we got further in that really caught your eye?
Yeah. I mean, there's the Baggio, but was it an 8 if you go down?
Oh, was
Yeah,
yeah.
I think was it an 8
It
or
was a 7. Yeah,
and then the Maldini was an 8. Was that right?
that's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So I think those had kind of had a pop for a little bit, and then they kind of simmered down. I think that this year, as we kind of talked about at the beginning, that one had. Oh yeah, this is the one that Brad said that he won.
Yeah, 165.
Yeah. So I think when we kind of do the year in review type thing, again, it was a good year in terms of the broadening the base.
Yeah.
I think there's also something to watch out for, which is the certain player runs and the FOMO that relates to that player.
Yeah.
That I think sometimes we would have, a certain player. It could be, George Best, or it could be, R9, since we're looking at him. I think, and those things, had a run, and then, 2, 3, 4 weeks later, they came back. So I think that on most things, don't get caught up in the FOMO. I know that's easier to say than
Well, just be aware of what it is, right? Like if it's something that's truly rare, then get caught up. But if it's something that's not, don't.
Yeah. So like if it's Nanina Puskas,
And there's 2 of them on auction.
Yeah, I mean you gotta get it. If it's a R9 Copa America 1995, don't mortgage the house to get it just yet. I mean, don't do anything to get it, right? So that's kind of my point. And I think if you looked at various players throughout the year, you would have seen this cycle. Like right now, we just talked about the Wayne Rooney. Getting Wayne Rooney sticker, which still a ton haven't been graded, BGS, which right now is bad for $2,200. It feels like a lot of people are just trying to go get the Wayne Rooney. So, why not? Oh, it did go for 138. So why not, focus somewhere else where not everybody's focused right now, and go back and get your Wayne Rooney. There's still a ton at PSA, and they're going to be coming out. So anyway, that's one of my last learnings from this year. So what did you think about this?
I'm happy to see it. There was definitely concern of how trashed the market on this sticker was after the Beckett follies. So like I'm happy to see that people still respect and aren't scared off. And I mean, PSA obviously has a different cachet than Beckett. So I mean, it's a good sign, right? This is a record, isn't it?
I think it is a record, and I think it's a beautiful sticker. It should have an important place in the lore of soccer collecting. I mean, epic player, epic sticker. He only has 2 rookies. So many reasons to love this. I just think that the BGS, the damage was going to be, prolonged, and it's nice to see that people are really trusting, PSA. And by the way, this is not a new PSA label. This is an old PSA label. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing in the eyes of the market right now, because I can see rationale for both of those. But that was really good. And then the Alpha PSA 6 also went for 180,000.
Okay.
Which is obviously, a big number. Is it a big number in light of the 9 that sold for 900?
I think that's right in line, honestly.
That's what I feel. I feel like it's kind of where you'd expect right now.
Yep.
So, I think those were pretty good. And then a PSA 9 71 bis sold for 50,000, which also I feel is pretty good. But a BGS 9 Ronaldo sold for 21,000. So and Ronaldo had been outselling Messi in similar grades. Now again, PSA versus Beckett, we've got something going on there. So
Yeah.
I don't know. You look around and you say, even on these high end cards, which is a different market, it's pretty elite results.
Yep, I agree. I think that we've definitely, I mean, it's. I feel really comfortable with where we are. I just feel it's so much healthier than it was last winter. So it's exciting. We did a year. We did a full year here, Al. So
It
it's
was a fun year, and
hell yeah,
we had a good time too, which is what collecting is primarily about, right?
totally. Steve says that he on the PSA 4 Platini, that centering really it prevented him from bidding. Also, there's a question: do you think the PSA 4 George Best that sold for 9,500 is over or undervalued or just right? I didn't win it. Just wondering. I think it's real. No, I was gonna be dumb,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I have to refrain. I have a PSA
Okay.
4 going up for auction next month. This
Yeah,
one
so
right here.
I would say, I would say that it's given the importance of the player, it's about right. Maybe slightly higher than I had expected it, but that goes to show the demand. I mean, many people had said for many years, Bill, right, that that's an easy one. That's an easy one. Well, when we kept looking for it, it wasn't easy, and you could never find it. It was
Yeah.
like the same thing they said about the Dixie Dean rookies. So, you know, I I think that that's an epic, super important card. And if you're going to go into the elite cards of the soccer hobby, you want a copy of that. And while the card grades traditionally pretty well, at least in the pop reports, the copies that we've seen coming out over the last 18 months have been of the lower grade variety. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's okay. And by the way, PWCC had a Platini 8 that did have good centering that sold for 14,000 on their premiere, which we forgot to mention.
Okay.
And in balancing it off, I feel like that's probably a good price for the 8. I think the 9 sold for what, like 70 or something last month. I can't remember exactly what that number was, but yeah. So that's what I'd say on the best. And I know you've got to run, so
Yeah, I got to run. So sorry, guys. Appreciate you popping in. We had a pretty good crowd. Peanut Gallery was in effect this show, so appreciate you guys. If you get a chance and you're not a member of the Discord, join. And if you are, we'll talk to you there shortly.
see you guys.